There is a reason you found this message. There are no coincidences. The ancient ones knew it. The mystics whispered it. And in the soft spaces between your thoughts, your soul remembers. This life, this body, these challenges are not accidents. They were chosen. Carefully, intentionally, lovingly, long before you took your first breath. Brian Weiss, a quiet pioneer of soul memory, opened a doorway into the unseen fabric of our existence. Through his work with past life regression, he unveiled what many have sensed in moments of silence, that the soul is not bound to one time, one body, or one story. It travels, it learns, it chooses. Your presence here now is not a random convergence of particles and fate. It is a chapter in a much larger narrative, a sacred contract you made before entering this realm. The parents you chose, the heartbreaks, the triumphs, even the questions that haunt you late at night, they were all part of a path already whispered into the blueprint of your becoming. Pause for a moment. Breathe. Can you feel the echo of that truth? We live in a world obsessed with control, with planning and predicting. But your soul works differently. It doesn't move in straight lines. It dances in spirals. It seeks not comfort, but growth. Not certainty, but remembrance. And this remembrance begins with trust. A trust that your soul knew what it was doing. That the lessons before you, no matter how painful or confusing, are meaningful. They are bridges to a deeper awakening. You are not being punished. You are being invited into expansion, into release, into remembering who you truly are beneath the layers of fear and forgetting. You may wonder, if my life was written before I arrived, do I have any control? Yes, but not in the way the mind understands control. You are both the actor and the author, the dream and the dreamer. The script is flexible, responsive, but the themes, the soul agreements, the lessons, these were chosen. You, as soul, chose them. Brian Weiss saw it again and again. Patients recalling lives they'd never consciously known, speaking languages they never studied, grieving losses that happened centuries ago. And yet, in the remembering, healing happened. Phobias disappeared. Patterns dissolved. Hearts opened. You don't need to undergo hypnosis to begin this remembering. It starts by slowing down, listening, trusting the nudges, the synchronicities, the dreams. The universe is always speaking to you, guiding you back to what you already know deep down, that your life is not a series of accidents. It is a story, and you are the sacred author walking inside your own words. So when you feel lost, come back here. To this stillness, to this truth. You are not lost, you are on schedule, you are in alignment, even when it doesn't look that way from the outside, even when the path winds through shadows, especially then, because the shadows too were written, not as punishment but as contrast, so the light in you could rise with clarity and power. This is not fantasy. It is the deeper logic of the soul, and if this resonates, if it stirs something ancient in your chest, know that you are awakening, not by accident, but by design. Your life is calling, and it's time to listen. Let your journey inward begin now. And if these words spoke to that quiet place inside you, I invite you to subscribe, not to follow me, but to stay close to yourself, your path, your truth. There is a sacred architecture beneath everything you experience. It reveals itself not through logic, but through resonance. When Brian Weiss began documenting the memories of his patients, memories that emerged spontaneously under hypnosis, he wasn't seeking proof of reincarnation, he was seeking healing. What he found instead was a vast map of consciousness, layered across time, where wounds carried in one life often found their resolution in another. And with each revelation, a deeper truth crystallized. We are more than our memories. We are the consciousness behind them, unfolding through infinite expressions. You've likely felt this, in the pull toward a stranger's eyes, in a recurring dream that feels older than this lifetime, in déjà vu that stops you mid-step. These are not accidents. They are breadcrumbs from your soul, subtle reminders that your story didn't begin with your birth, and it won't end with your death. But what does it mean to live as if your life was pre-written? It does not mean passivity. It means awareness. A radical shift from resisting what is to recognizing what is being revealed. Each moment becomes a mirror, reflecting the very lesson your soul came here to learn. In this mirror, your relationships transform into sacred contracts, your fears become unhealed echoes, and your deepest longings, those quiet, persistent nudges, are actually memories rising from your soul's deeper knowing. Weiss often spoke of soul groups, clusters of consciousness that incarnate together again and again, playing different roles to serve each other's evolution. Your partner, your child, your greatest teacher, your deepest enemy, they may all be part of your soul group, agreeing before birth to show up in the exact way needed for your growth. Love, pain, betrayal, guidance, it all serves the expansion of the soul. Imagine the magnitude of that. Every encounter, no matter how brief, may be orchestrated. Every challenge may be a curriculum. Every joy, a reminder of the essence you carry beneath your human skin. Still, the ego resists this. It wants to control, to judge, to label life as good or bad. But the soul is not bound by these dualities. It sees the full arc of lifetimes. It sees how the most painful experience can become the key to your greatest liberation. And so, the invitation is this: soften your grip on the narrative you think you're writing. Listen instead to the story your soul is revealing. Ask different questions. Not, why is this happening to me? But what is this teaching me? Not, how do I fix this? But how do I remember who I truly am in this moment? These are the kinds of questions that awaken latent wisdom. They bring clarity not from outside, but from the depths of your being. Because your soul already knows, it has always known. And what you call intuition is really memory, a deeper memory from before the veil of forgetting. This memory doesn't come all at once. It arrives in fragments, in dreams, in synchronicities, in those moments when time bends and your heart whispers, "I've been here before." And in those moments you are closer to the truth. Not a truth given to you by others, but the one that emerges from within, quiet, ancient, unshakable. So let your questions remain open. Let your life speak through symbols, sensations, and soul echoes. You are not drifting. You are remembering. And the remembering has only just begun. There is a thread that connects every moment of your life, seen and unseen. You can't always trace it with your eyes, but your soul can feel its pull. Weiss's sessions revealed something extraordinary. As people revisited lifetimes they'd never imagined, a pattern began to form. Certain emotions, unresolved conflicts, and even physical symptoms traced back to other timelines. Trauma didn't begin in this life, and healing didn't have to end here either. What you carry, consciously or not, might be echoes from another chapter of your soul's journey. These echoes don't always arrive as memories. Sometimes they take the shape of unexplained fears, chronic pain, or a deep longing that nothing in this life seems to satisfy. A fear of water, an aversion to a particular city, a profound connection to a specific culture or time in history. These are not random, they are clues. The soul remembers everything. It stores every lesson, every vow, every wound, and it seeks resolution. Not out of punishment, but for balance, for completion. That's why patterns often repeat across lifetimes. Not because you've failed, but because your soul is calling you to finally break free, to complete what was once left undone. But to access this healing, you don't need to remember the exact lifetime or event. You only need to become present to what arises now. Every trigger, every resistance, every yearning, they are all doors. And when you meet them with awareness instead of avoidance, something begins to shift. The past no longer owns you, the cycle begins to dissolve. In this light, your struggles transform into sacred signals. Your anxiety may not be a flaw, it might be a memory. Your grief may not be senseless, it might be an old echo, asking to be felt and finally released. There is great power in this realization, because when you stop seeing your pain as random, you begin to honor it, you listen. You ask, what do you need me to see? And in that simple act of reverence, the healing begins. This is what Weiss discovered. Healing is remembering. Not only with the mind, but with the body, the breath, the energy. As his patients embraced the emotional weight of their past lives, profound transformation occurred in the present. Illness faded, relationships changed, peace emerged. And so it's worth asking, what patterns are repeating in your life? What do you keep attracting, resisting, or fearing? What if these aren't coincidences but invitations? When you stop fighting the pattern and start listening to it, you align with your soul's deeper intention. You begin to rewrite the script, not by force but by awareness. You reclaim authorship not by denying the past, but by honoring its lessons. And in this process, compassion naturally arises, for yourself, for others. Because if we've all been many things across many lives, parent and child, friend and foe, healer and wounded, then judgment fades. You begin to see people not as their current roles, but as travelers, just like you. Souls doing their best to wake up. This softens everything. It allows love to flow where there was once resentment. It brings humility to your path and reverence to the mystery. Because the truth is, we are all remembering, at our own pace, in our own way, and no matter how fragmented it feels, the thread remains unbroken. The story continues. You are not behind. You are right on time. Sometimes the most profound truths are the ones hidden in plain sight. They don't scream, they whisper. Your life, with all its twists and quiet revelations, is not an accident. It is a mirror reflecting your soul's intentions. And when you begin to approach life with this awareness, something remarkable happens. The ordinary becomes sacred. Every choice, every emotion, every encounter takes on a deeper meaning. Even the smallest moment becomes a doorway to awakening. Brian Weiss understood this shift. He observed it as people emerged from regression sessions, their hearts cracked open by remembrance. Their perception of life had changed, not because they gained new information, but because they touched something ancient inside themselves, a felt sense of truth, a knowing beyond logic. This shift is not reserved for therapy rooms. It is available to you now, in every breath, in every pause. You do not need to go back to find yourself. You need only to become fully present. Because presence is where the soul speaks. It is the language of the eternal. And what it says is this: you are guided, even when it feels like you're not. Guidance rarely shouts. It moves like water, subtle, flowing, persistent. It nudges through intuition, through resonance, through the way your body feels when something is right or wrong. When you ignore it, life becomes heavy. When you listen, life begins to unfold with quiet synchronicity. These synchronicities are not coincidences, they are alignment. They are reminders from your soul, from your guides, from the deeper intelligence that has always walked beside you. A number you keep seeing. A person who appears at the perfect moment. A book that falls into your hands. A phrase that hits you with uncanny precision. These are not random. They are part of the choreography your soul helped design. When you learn to move with this choreography instead of against it, resistance fades. You begin to trust life, not because it always feels easy, but because you recognize its intelligence. Even pain becomes meaningful. Even endings become openings. This is the inner posture of surrender, not passive, but powerful. Surrender is the soul's courage. It is the deep exhale that says, I may not know what's coming, but I trust what's guiding me. And from that place, clarity arises. You begin to feel not just connected, but supported. Not just alive, but aligned. And here lies one of Brian Weiss's most powerful messages. Healing is not about fixing yourself. It's about remembering who you truly are. Beneath the conditioning, beneath the fear, beneath the story, you are not broken, you are awakening. And the more you awaken, the more you realize that what you seek is not outside you. It's within. Always has been. The peace, the love, the purpose. They are not destinations. They are frequencies your soul already knows how to access, if you pause, listen, and trust the deeper rhythm. So let your attention soften. Let your heart open to the possibility that nothing is out of place, not your past, not your pain, not your uncertainty. All of it is part of the unfolding. And when seen through the eyes of the soul, even the hardest moments can become sacred. You are not here by mistake. You are not wandering without meaning. You are in the midst of a great remembering, one that spans lifetimes. And with each breath, you are stepping deeper into who you came here to be. There comes a moment, quiet and unannounced, when the veil between what you know and what you've always known begins to thin. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It's subtle, like remembering a dream you didn't know you had. This is the essence of soul awakening. Not a sudden transformation, but a gradual remembering, a realignment with a truth that has always been with you, waiting patiently beneath the surface of daily life. In the later stages of Brian Weiss's work, he noticed something extraordinary. As his patients accessed deeper layers of consciousness, something shifted. Not only in their memory, but in their presence. They became more open, more trusting, more peaceful, not because life had changed, but because their relationship to life had changed. When you begin to live as if your soul wrote this life with intention, every experience becomes infused with depth, even the difficult ones. Especially the difficult ones. You start to see that everything happening to you is also happening for you. The pain becomes a portal, the loss becomes a teacher, the delay becomes divine, and so you soften, not out of resignation, but out of reverence. You begin to release the illusion of control, not because you're giving up, but because you realize something far greater has always been guiding you. There is intelligence in the unseen, in the spaces between choices, in the long pauses between life chapters. When you tune into that, you don't need to rush anymore. You don't need to force outcomes. You trust, not passively, but actively. You listen for the next step instead of demanding it. You flow. And in that flow, clarity begins to emerge. You notice what draws your energy. You see which patterns are ready to be broken. You feel which relationships nourish your soul and which drain your spirit. You begin living not from the surface of things, but from their essence. This is not about being perfect. It's about being present. You might still feel fear. Doubt may still visit you. That's okay. Awakening doesn't mean you stop being human. It means you stop forgetting that you are also divine, and that this divinity is not separate from you. It is you, remembering itself through the human form. Your life is the canvas, your soul is the artist. And even if the brushstrokes seem chaotic from up close, when you step back, you'll begin to see the art in it, the symmetry, the grace, the wisdom behind it all. Brian Weiss reminded us that many souls come into this life with specific missions, not grand tasks, but subtle ones, to forgive, to break a cycle, to heal a wound carried across generations. To awaken just enough so others around them begin to stir too. Maybe that's why you're here. Maybe this is your ripple, your turning point. Not a dramatic leap, but a soft shift inward. A moment of recognition that your life has never been random, that your suffering has not been wasted, that your presence here right now matters more than you may ever fully understand. So take a breath. Let that truth settle into your body. Let it echo through the forgotten rooms of your being. You are not alone on this path, and you never have been. The guidance is always here. The remembering is already underway. All that's left is your willingness to trust what arises. And if these words touched your soul, subscribe to the channel and click on the video that just appeared on your screen. It was chosen especially for you. I know you'll love it.